Hello, how are you? I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. Thursday? Gosh, that just shows you where my head is. Wow, what a night last night, eh? In the Champions League. Fair play to the Arsenal. Progressing now through to the group stage. Thank you to Vivianne Miedema for that goal at 51 minutes. And she looked like she was having a very, very good game last night. Lots of confusion, lots of weird talking points from this game as well. And it's all over the papers today. It's all over the news about what happened with the goalposts. And it's one of those ones. This is annoying when it comes to women's football because this is thrown about before and in the past whether it should be smaller goals because women are smaller and blah blah blah. This really annoys some players. I remember Lisa Evans, who plays at West Ham, Scotland international. She was with me one time and we were doing a show together, and I had the idea about the smaller goals, and she got really like, that just annoys me. You know, she wasn't happy to consider that idea. But then I know there's some players, I won't name names in case they've not said it before, who have actually told me that they think it would be a good idea. Listen, what happened last night was massive confusion. We'll get onto that another time. Smaller goalposts or no, I don't think it's needed at all, but it's always something that comes up. Anyway, last night they were away to Ajax in Amsterdam for the second leg in the Champions League. Of course, it was 2 each in London last week as well, so they had to get the win. And one of the backroom staff for Arsenal in the warm-up had spotted that he can normally reach up and touch the crossbar. And he noticed that he could touch it easily. So normally he has to like reach up and jump to touch it. And he noticed that he could put his hands up and touch it and thought, well, that's not right. And it turns out the goalposts were 10 centimetres lower than what they should have been. Now it's been going around today saying that they play with smaller goals in that league and that Ajax usually play with those goals. But actually it turns out there was just confusion while the goalposts were being lowered into the ground that day. There had been works taking place and the goalposts were being repositioned and they'd gone too far into the ground. That's what Ajax have said. They've released a statement saying it's awkward, embarrassing type stuff, but it was a mistake. Jonas Deval, the Dutch manager, of course, of Arsenal, wandering around. Sorry, Swedish manager is going around saying, you know, he's never experienced anything like it in his life, and saying that, you know, the rules were broken by the goal post being smaller. Just an awkward blunder for everyone involved. And I spoke to my sister-in-law just briefly, Katie McCabe. I said, what happened last night? And she said they tried to make the post smaller. And it's almost one of those ones, was it accidental? You know, you could never know, but I don't understand why they would go and do that. But the amazing thing is that it was spotted in the warm-up by that backroom member of staff at Arsenal who has to have this thing where he touches the goalpost to see if he can reach every time, to see that he could reach it fine, and him being the one to flag it. But imagine that had happened in the game. Imagine in the game it had been spotted that those posts were smaller than usual, or the height was smaller than usual, and they had to stop the game. I mean, that would have been so embarrassing. Awkward all around. And Jonas Deval, I don't know if you watched the game last night. He was a very animated character, wasn't he? He looked like Roadman with a hat and the black tracky head to toe. And he was like swaggering up and down. He was bringing a lot of energy last night, and probably you would be after spotting something like that. You know, he said it was very strange and very weird, but fair play to Arsenal and fair play to Vivianne Miedema getting that goal at 51 minutes. Another story going around today as well is that of Beth Mead, who got a head injury quite far into the later stages of the game. Arsenal had already used their 3 subs. Now in the league, of course, you're allowed the concussion sub. But it's not a rule with UEFA. So there was confusion even with them, with Beth then going on, coming off. They couldn't replace her with the concussion sub because it's not a rule for UEFA. You'd use your 3 subs. So that caused some confusion as well. They had to play out the remainder of the game with 10 women, and did a very good job of that as well. But yeah, the good news is for Arsenal is that they're through to the group stages of the Champions League. I think it was one of those games where Ajax, even though they've not been in the Champions League for a long time, I thought they looked good against them. I know he'd made changes to the side for this game away at Ajax, and I think that was far more like it, and they were lucky that then Viv could get that goal and put it away, because Arsenal going out of the Champions League at this stage would have been a real problem. So fair play to the Gunners, good news all round. And Beth Mead, by the way, has put on her Instagram, thank you for your concern, but she is absolutely fine, and hopefully that it has knocked some sense into her as well. Lovely stuff. But what a strange night. I don't know about you, but I like when I wake up and I see that news like that is going around. I think it's quite interesting, and it's quite fun, and it put eyes on the game in a different light, but it also has the potential to make people go, well, they should be smaller, the post should be smaller because women are smaller and blah blah blah. But that is certainly a conversation that we have to have another time, because we're just not here for that yet, are we? Also last night, I don't know if you watched Chelsea against West Ham in the WSL. Good game for Chelsea, apart from conceding the first goal. West Ham getting the first goal 3 minutes in from Dagny Brynjarsdottir, who I think is an outstanding player. She had a very good summer as well in the Euros, and looked at it last night in those opening moments of the game. I thought, how have Chelsea switched off like that, only 3 minutes in? But then, of course, they got control, and once they got the first goal, it was second and third from there. Also, good to see Lauren James getting back in there again as well, but I imagine confidence will be knocked after that penalty. It could have been 4-1, and it didn't quite go her way. And how that looks then for her moving forward as well. That's that moment, those chances, I guess, that you really have to take, and that didn't quite go her way last night as well. But in terms of looking at the table, it certainly keeps things interesting, because Chelsea are then right back up there, having lost that first game. Up there at the top, you've got Arsenal, and then it's Manchester United, Aston Villa, and then Chelsea. Of course, Villa, United and Arsenal still all have a game in hand as well. But Chelsea now moving up to fourth. I don't see how they can slip up from here moving forward, because anytime there's been a slip up in the past, they're able to rectify it within the next game, and then they don't ever look back from there. So I don't see them making any more mistakes going forward. Also, they've had a decent summer. They've really strengthened this window as well. And I was just having this conversation about Chelsea for the league title. I think it has to be Arsenal this time round. It has to be with the budget that they've got, with the players that they've got, with the experience that this team has. I feel it has to be Arsenal's year to really start picking up some silverware and definitely challenge for the league title again. I think with the way that they've been playing, I think it looks very possible, and I think that fixture of Chelsea-Arsenal, when it arises on us, is going to be an absolute belter when it comes. I must say, I cannot wait for that. But all in a nutshell, interesting night last night in the Champions League. You can let me know your comments on Goalposts if you want. Maybe we can talk about it another time. But Arsenal move through to the group stages of the Champions League. Well done, Vivianne Miedema.